This mass roundup of random people without cause is a constitutional crisis, because the Constitution says that you should, in fact, feel safe in your person and your effects from unreasonable searches and seizures, right? Like, that's why you kind of have to have probable cause.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This is going to be a little bit of a quicker video than I normally put up. It's also not going to be the same kind of video that I normally put up. I want to talk about what's going on in Portland and Chicago. Now, obviously, I don't got to update you guys on what's happening out there, but what I do want to talk about in particular is the ICE raid that took place in that apartment building on September 29th in Chicago. Now, for the past couple days, I've just been kind of ignoring the situation until I kept hearing about children in zip ties, children being used as bait, and I still was ignoring it then, simply because I truly don't really believe anything that comes out of a liberal's mouth. But then today, during my lunch hour when I was hunting down clips, I just came across this clip. Check this out.
So I'm gonna need you to explain it to me like I'm 10. I want you to really break this down to me like I'm 10 years old and tell me why ICE agents zip tying black babies in Chicago, because I can't for the life of me understand why this happened. Why was this necessary? These are black babies, American citizens living in Chicago, but ICE agents are zip tying them because they, pose a threat to who? They are a danger to what? I need you to explain this to me like I'm 10. Not only why did this happen, why is there not collective outrage behind it? Why is this not on the news? Why is this not being covered? Why is this not being talked about by almost anybody but a handful of black people in this country?
So for those of you that are not familiar with this situation here, with this picture right here, don't you guys see something wrong with it? I mean, first off, why would an ICE agent be putting a zip tie on something that's like 1.5 feet tall? But then secondly, the most obvious part, not just because it's coming from a liberal influencer, is this is not a picture. If this were a picture, this would be a terrible quality camera from like the 1990s. This is obviously a video still. So that was hint number one. That made my spidey senses tingle. So what does that mean? What's the next move from there? I want to find the original clip, which was super easy. On TikTok, I just had to put in children, zip ties, Chicago, and I came across stuff right away. Not only did I find the original clip, I found a clip of a girl that was reacting to it. Check this out.
Someone tagged me in this video. Just give it a quick look.
So I'm gonna need you to explain it to me like I'm 10. I want you to really break this down to me like I'm 10 years old and tell me why ICE agents zip tying black babies in Chicago, because I can't for the life of me understand why this happened. Why was this necessary? These are...
So people on the left right now are using that photo of that little boy and that guy. They're saying that it's an ICE agent arresting a child. But here's the original video.
Go fuck it.
Picture, which is my video of me and my son playing cops and robbers. Literally, this is us.
That's just the father and son playing together. They're playing cops and robbers. Here's his tag right here. He's a police officer. Pretend arresting his son. But the left has to go through such great lengths just to keep pushing their propaganda, their agenda. Saying, oh, that's ICE arresting a little boy. Like, make it make sense. And the video I got tagged in with that liberal thinking that had 50K likes. Are you guys really that gullible?
Okay, so when she played the original clip, I had to mute it there because the song Bad Boys was playing. It actually fit the video quite well. I wish I could have left it in because it was pretty humorous, but I would have got a copyright strike if I left it in, so I had to mute that part out there. But it really shows you that the liberals just do not, there's no depths too low for them to go. However, I still wanted to confirm how legit the original video was. And you can see that the guy's TikTok address is there. So I went to his TikTok page, and yes, The video is real, and as a matter of fact, look, the kid's even a repeat offender. I mean, I could see why the liberals didn't try and get away with using that video. The one that was outdoors would have been a little bit more convincing, but just how gullible to the liberal population out there, how gullible are you guys? How unrealistic did that picture look in the first place with this gigantic cop huddled over a little 1.5 foot tall little creature and putting zip tie? Why would you have to zip tie a little kid like that for? But it just goes to show you it's the usual. Half of you knew it was not true and knew it was just a narrative being pushed and still went along with it and still reposted it and still commented on it. The other half of you were actually dumb enough to fall for it. And that's where you should be embarrassed. But the first clip that we played by the TikTok username Zactivist, he had another clip up after this one came out because, he was busted. His narrative was over. He got caught in his lie. So let's see how he tried to cover it up.
A very important update to this story. The update is this image does not come from the actual story, but what is real, what is very, very real. The story is very, very real. ICE agents zip-tied children in Chicago. Black babies were from their homes, ripped from their parents, separated, zip-tied. That is very, very real. That has been confirmed by numerous first-hand accounts, news agencies like The New Republic, the Daily US News, and Raw Story. And it is thankfully being shared online. I need it to be shared more widely because people don't want to believe this. People don't want to see this truth because that was the first image that popped up, so I shared the image. And it's a great visual hook, but it doesn't relate to the story. However, it doesn't make the story untrue no matter how much some people may not want it to be. They don't want to believe the horror. They don't want to believe the terror. They don't want to be the reality of ICE in this current moment in America. But it is real, and mainstream news isn't telling the story, so we have to do that work.
So instead of coming clean and just admitting, hey, I made a mistake, he's like, hey, well, this isn't from that story, but check this out. This is very, very real. How many times did he have to state that this is very, very real? When somebody's going to try and convince you several times, then state that it's very, very real, that should set off red flags right there as well. But still, it triggered off curiosity. You never know. They might be up to some shady business, right? We have to do our due diligence and actually do a little bit of research to make sure that ICE is on the up and up. So I did a little bit of digging. I did not go to any of his news sources that he cited because I'm instantly assuming that those are left-leaning news sources. So what did I do? I went to Grok. Grok gave me a woke answer like I expected. It didn't surprise me at all. And it took a little while to think about it too, but then, of course, yes, according to multiple eyewitness accounts, local residences report for media outlets and blah, 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 blah. They give you all the details, 300 federal agents. They state October 3rd though. This raid was September 29th. But what my red flag is here, and it's only a couple times that it mentions, eyewitness. Eyewitness. All I'm seeing is eyewitness. You guys can pause this to read it if you want. So what is my next step from there? One more question. The first one I asked was, did ICE agents zip-tie children in Chicago? Next question. Has there even been a single video to prove the claim? Of course, the answer is no. Not a single video to prove the claim. There is some sources that it leads you to. You guys can type in the same words on your AI, whatever AI you guys use. I'm sure you'll get similar results. Or you can just pause and read this here. But it got me digging a little bit more. And with digging a little bit more, it did not take very long at all, but I found an MSNBC clip on TikTok that had these two eyewitnesses that they're talking about.
In the middle of the night, hundreds of armed federal agents and police, backed up by riot trucks, smoke grenades, and helicopters, breached fences and busted doors in an immigration raid on an entire apartment building on the city's south side. They pulled dozens of residents from their homes in zip ties, including children, some of them without any clothes. They then held some outside for hours and dragged the others into rented vans.
It was scary because I've never had a gun put in my face.
Neighbors like Ebony Watson says they ducked for cover as they heard several flashbangs go off.
They was terrified. The kids was crying. People was screaming. They looked very distraught. I was out there crying when I seen the little girl come around the corner because they was bringing the kids out too. Had them zip tied to each other. One of them literally laughed. He was standing right here. He said, them kids.
Okay, so I'm sorry. I truly don't understand how anybody on the left can watch MSNBC and actually believe what they're watching. For starters, the headline that you seen at the top that said ICE raids in Chicago and the officer said F them kids. That's not MSNBC that put that there. Obviously, that's the person who uploaded the video to TikTok. But how come we're not seeing any of that content in that clip? That's the first question I have. But then the eyewitness account of the lady who said that she heard the ICE officer giggling, and then that same ICE officer said F them kids. Sorry, too over the top. I'm not going to believe that at all. What person in uniform that's out there to defend citizens is going to look at a child, whether that child was from the country or not? No officer is going to look at a child and say, F them kids. Sorry, that's not happening. Totally unbelievable. So I needed to start digging more. I needed to see somebody being arrested, because out of all this so far, I still haven't seen one of these 37 people being arrested. And from what I am seeing from eyewitness accounts and other people on TikTok, they're claiming it's just black people and black children.
Now that children are being zip-tied and brought out of buildings, black children, not immigrants. And I've just seen like in another state that they're jumping black men. ICE agents are jumping black men in parks in Tennessee. Matter of fact, I saw that in Tennessee. It's no longer, have they lost the plot? I mean, because they literally tore a fucking building down in Chicago, broke all the windows, arrested all the residents, put them all in jail, and then said, we will release you if you don't have a warrant. What do children have to do with warrants? Why are children being zip-tied and put in a chain gang situation? I can't say what I want to say on here. It's giving KKK. And what do we do with the KKK?
Well, just to quickly answer her question, what do we do with the KKK? From history, what I see so far, and what many other people have seen, is you guys tend to vote for them and put them in office, but that's on you. However, her clip has still sparked curiosity at this point. I'm still just hearing about all these people being arrested. I'm hearing about a bunch of children being zip-tied, even though the first one was debunked, but I'm hearing that there's children zip-tied together while they're arresting all these people and waking them up out of their beds and pulling the children out of their beds in their pajamas. And then the condition of the building that we're hearing that it's in. So I'm getting more and more curious here, but I did find a clip of a young lady, a news reporter from News Nation, that went on this raid September 29th. We're finally gonna get to see these black men being arrested and all these children being zip-tied. Let's check it out.
Hey, I'm Allie Bradley with News Nation, and we're out here on a multi-agency targeted enforcement operation going after several Tren de Aragua members. It is a late night operation. All these guys have been rehearsing for days to make this operation go off without a hitch. So we'll see what we end up finding today.
Watch this four-story window right here. Which one? Right where the light's at. Yeah, alright. Yeah. Separating out property. Like that. Brother. Just come here.
No fue como alto. Esto bueno, son demasiado apretados. El pelo me puedo probar un poquito la esposa. No podemos, pero no se puede demasiado apretada. Más rápido, más rápido. That way we don't have to.
Anything else you want to add, Chief?
We're glad to be here. We're glad to be here in Chicago. This is South Chicago. You're going to see us some more here in South Chicago. We're going to be coming back here in all areas of Chicago. We're not going anywhere. You're going to see all the Border Patrol agents, all several hundred of us, as well as those allied law enforcement agencies. We're going to be taking it to those violent gang members and illegal aliens. And finally, Allie, CBP Home app. Time and again, we say use the CBP Home app. Use that, get your free ticket home, and you can still have a chance at those immigration documents. If we catch you, you'll never get a chance at those documents.
All right, Chief.
Thank you. It's good to see you.
Congratulations on a successful operation.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know. For you liberals, your story's not holding up too well here. I mean, we have some video evidence of that night in Chicago at that apartment complex. We've seen about 4 or 5 different people getting arrested. None of them looked black, unless they identify as black. Possibly that's what you guys meant. None of them looked like children either. I mean, those 2 guys that we seen at the beginning with the white shirts with tattoos on them, that was the 2 youngest that we've seen. I don't know if that's what you guys are trying to pass off as children being zip tied. But so far, this whole narrative is not really holding up. And it's really starting to look like you guys are just trying to push your bullshit. Do you guys know whatever liberal took that picture of the little 1.5-foot little cute kid being handcuffed by his dad? Do you guys know that video was from June of 2024? So there's no way that somebody could have said, hey, this is from Chicago. The date's right there on the video on TikTok. June 19th, I believe it is, 2024. Somebody knew damn well when they came across that video that it was complete bullshit. They put it out there to propagandize the people on the left. As we all know, their minds are super easy to program, but there's also a whole bunch of dishonest people that know damn well that that video was well over a year old. It had nothing to do with Chicago. Within the past few weeks, a lot of you liberals have shown that you're willing to go to any extent to push your own narrative, to get what you guys want. We're seeing a drastic increase in violent activity at protests. I just watched a video on Benny Johnson's channel the other night where he went out on a ICE raid or whatnot. He was hanging out at the ICE facility with Kristi Noem. This was in Chicago. And it shows one scene, this is daytime, and it shows a scene far off away where you're seeing a fence and you see like what looked like 100, 200 protesters just sitting out there. And it made me think of like a scene from The Walking Dead. It just looked like zombies that are stuck behind the barricade. That's how all these protesters looked. But then the level of violence that they're going to, the video clips that I've come across in just the past couple of days, at first I thought it was just affecting me a little bit differently because things just seemed a little bit darker after Charlie Kirk. But no, they're ramping it up. The violence, the calls for violence are really getting out of control now. I came across a clip today of this creepy guy, of course with, painted fingernails and whatnot, explicitly talking about putting a hole through the back of Donald Trump's head without a fear in the world on camera.
Hey y'all, check this out real quick.
Hey guys, it's Rebel here. And I figured since we got a healthcare exec's blood drying on the stones outside his office building and Charlie Kirk getting face-fucked in hell, now's a good time for us to start asking for J.D. Vance to gag on it from the back. And then maybe, just maybe, we can get around to putting a hole right through the back of Donald J. Trump's head through his fucking shit spewer. I don't know, sounds like a great game plan to me, guys.
Let me introduce you to Rebel Murder. I had the pleasure of going through your videos last night, and you kind of act like you are some kind of badass. So I wonder why, since you're such a badass, why you went private. Is it because you're inciting violence to be directed towards the Vice President and the President of the United States?
So they want to sit out there, of course, get in front of cameras hundreds of times a day like they do, and they want to state it several times over and over and over again that all the violence comes from the right, but all the violent rhetoric is clearly coming from the left, because what type of video evidence can you liberals genuinely pull up? Pull up some video evidence of people on the right speaking violently about people on the left. We can pull up at this point probably thousands of videos of people on the left with violent rhetoric towards people on the right, towards their president. And now with this whole little spin-off that you guys have tried to pull off here with this Chicago raid, the way that you guys tried to make it look with this building and kids being zip-tied and dragged out of their beds half naked with toys flying over the place. And I know that's not violence, but it's another low. You guys seem to know no boundaries. Now I'm just gonna play you guys a last couple clips about what some other people have had to say about this on TikTok, starting with Aaron Parnas. This guy's supposed to be an independent, nonpartisan journalist. He's supposed to be like right down the middle. This is what he claims to be. He plays Mr. Nice Guy, always very soft-spoken and whatnot, but it just seems that he always leans left. But with a situation like this, with unverified content, like children being zip-tied when there's actually no proof of it, he, should probably play it safe and not push the narrative. But of course not. What does Aaron Parnas do?
We have some really horrific news about the ICE raids in Chicago. We're now learning more information about what ICE did to the kids in Chicago during the ICE raids, including at the horrific ICE raid at the Chicago residential apartment building earlier this week, where children were separated from their parents. We're now learning, according to the Times and Reuters and others, that multiple U.S. citizen children were temporarily detained and separated from their families as well. In addition, we're learning that children were literally zip-tied together as ICE officials cleared out that residential building and other areas in Chicago. Now here's the thing. ICE is militarizing the streets of Chicago using military tactics, literally pointing snipers at American citizens, citizens and non-citizens alike, using military gear, military tactics, military equipment, and separating children from their families literally every single day. People need to know more about what's happening in Chicago, because this is a very serious situation. So spread the word. Full breakdown on my Substack, link to bio. Subscribe for free. Follow along for all the news you need to know about. More to come soon.
The pro-family party zip-tied children's up the other night, in case you missed it. Federal agents barged an apartment building in Chicago and zip-tied children up while they were figuring out who they were going to arrest or not arrest. And some of these kids had no clothes on. You know why? Because it was midnight. I'm outraged. All of us have to be outraged. How is this shit possible? How can they just do whatever the hell they want? I don't get it.
The hardest thing after my mom self-deported was not the fact that I want her here. It's the fact that I want to be over there with her in Mexico, because what do you mean an apartment building got raided by ICE agents and little kids were being zip-tied, most of them being naked together, and a lot of them were U.S. citizens. An apartment building in the middle of the night. What the hell is that? What is even life? That and government employees are not getting paid because the government shut down. Except ICE agents, they are getting paid.
Meanwhile, this is what's happening to black children in our neighborhoods.
Hey, so... Alright, so apparently, my video yet going viral again, saying that ICE is detaining kids. So they're using that picture, which is my video, of me and my son playing cops and robbers. Literally, this is us.
It's just crazy, like the link, people will push shit and just lie on the internet, and I'm just lost for fucking words.
But if y'all don't know, me, myself, and my son, we live in Texas. We don't live in Chicago. Me and my son playing cops and robbers. I got a whole series on my page. I'm trying to figure out why people lying to make it political. Don't fucking know, but it's sick as hell, and y'all need to find Jesus.
All right, so let me help you out with this one, okay? Since you don't get it. I literally live around the corner from where that happened at, okay? And not all black people were detained. It was just a couple of black folks in a building that nobody was supposed to be in. Yeah, they didn't tell you that narrative, that nobody was supposed to be in that building. Nobody. Also, that's a building full of clucks. You do know what clucks is, right? Also, the Venezuelans went through that building and took over the whole building. Not forcefully, but they just started moving in apartments they ain't had no business moving into. Also, it's a lot of Venezuelans that look black. You know, like Cubans and Dominicans. There are some Venezuelans that look black. So guess what? If you didn't have your ID or no proof that you had residency there, then yes, they were detaining you. Because number one, you wasn't supposed to be in the building. Number two, the landlord don't own the building no more. The bank owned that building. Number 3, it was a gang of Venezuelans in all apartments that weren't even supposed to be in them apartments. So hell yeah, they detained everybody so they can sort it out and find out who is who. That's what happened. So once again, I'm still with deportation of the immigrants.
So then I finally bumped into this guy. At first, when I bumped into his clip, I was thinking, oh, he's just another one who's going to be pushing the same narrative. I'm like, no, he's actually telling us what's really kind of going on here. This is not an abandoned building, but it's a building that was taken over by the Wells Fargo Bank, I think 1 year ago. And it was a different owner that had it 4 years before that. So this is a complex that's been going downhill since. Because of this guy, I ended up finding other videos of people that go in and explore this building, what it looks like before ICE ever got there. The place is completely run down, filthy, garbage all over the place. The laundry room, the machines are all in the middle, and just a complete mess. This looks like a homeless encampment, just like one step on top of a homeless encampment. And what he's explaining here, the Venezuelans he didn't want to use the word takeover because they didn't go in and kick anybody out. It just so happened to be a pretty much, almost vacant building. They just moved themselves in and kind of dominated the place. But as he was stating, nobody was supposed to be there. This was a building that was not supposed to be occupying any residents whatsoever. But if you ask a liberal about it, they're going to tell you it was all sorts of American families that were living there. And there was all sorts of children that were pulled out of their bed at midnight. But I don't know if you guys caught on with that previous footage I just played of the people being arrested. The only people that we seen actually being arrested at that location was about 4 or 5 young guys. None of them looked American. The ICE officers were speaking to them, not in English. Pretty sure that was state. Kind of looks like maybe they were just Venezuelan. And after all, at the beginning of that footage, the young lady did state that she's going on a raid with ICE, going after TDA members. They're not gonna bring 300 ICE agents to clear out an apartment complex of American citizens. So once I bumped into this guy's clip, everything started to fit together a little bit. And on his TikTok page, he has a few clips explaining the whole story of this. So we are going to outro with one more clip from that gentleman there. I will warn you guys, he swears a lot in the clip, but it does give you a lot more explanation about the building. And he actually brings us to the front of the building. So by the end of it all, what does it look like? Liberals are full of shit, pushing a narrative, falling for propaganda very easily once again, and their whole narrative falls apart once again. And with that being said, I believe we can end this video here. So you guys take care. Remember, I did warn you guys, this guy's got a lot of foul language in this outro clip. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one, guys.
Why is always you bitches that get on my thing that don't know what the fuck you talking about? I live over here. I'm literally right by the fucking building. It was signs in the fucking building that say you're not supposed to be here. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, there's no landlord for the building with your smart ass. There's no landlord. Yes, they did interview a black woman. Yes, a black woman did get detained, but she didn't get deported. They can't deport nobody to a place if they wasn't from another spot. They're from the United States. So where the fuck can they deport them from with your overly dumb smart ass trying to tell me about my shit? Also, I'm around here right now, and I'm finna show you a video of the fucking building with your overly smart dumb ass. Understand, I don't talk just because I got lips, bitch. I talk because I got my facts. And I'll repeat it again. It was a lot of people in the building that was not supposed to be there. There's people in the building squatting. Basically, a whole lot of fucking clucks. Also, the Venezuelans took the motherfucking building over. It was a lot of Venezuelans in the building. They ain't had no business being in a building. To deal with all of them, they had to get everybody out the building so they can start picking off who's supposed to be there and who wasn't. They also stated if you had a warrant, your ass getting detained. This is the building with your overly dumb ass. The building was not supposed to have people in there. The building looked like this before ISIS even came to this bitch. So the next time you tell me anything, get your motherfucking facts straight. I live around here, dumbass bitch. This is what they're redoing to the building. Dumbass female. Now, when I'm talking, bitch, shut the fuck up and listen. Because I know what the fuck I'm talking about. So again, I got proof behind mine. Where your proof at? That I'm lying, bitch.